Hello, everybody. It's good to be here once again. Thanks for being here. We're going to be doing chapter 10 and 11 this evening. I hope some of this has been a little bit edifying somewhat to understand these numbers. I know there's a lot of words that we go through. I am thinking about trying to condense them and not go through all the words, but then I thought, well, then one might question, like myself, I'm like, well, what are the words? So I guess I like to go through it detail by detail. I love doing inventory. I love numbers, but I like getting down to the nitty gritty because a lot of people will say certain things like, well, there's 375,000 or 375,000. I don't think that's a word. 375,000. I'm like, okay, where is it? Well, you just throw me numbers, but you're not giving me anything behind it, or you'll quote something. Hey, this is completely wrong. And I'm like, wow, what else is wrong? And they'll say, well, there are other things wrong. I mean, there are multiple things wrong. Okay, what are they? Well, there's a lot of them if you go through them. There's no evidence. There's no backup. There's no numbers to give me. You don't give me a full detailed list. I'm a detailed list kind of guy. When I look at things as a whole, I like looking things in two ways. I don't know. I'm old enough to remember the TV screens that had the large screen and the small picture, the PIP they call it, picture in picture. So I try to look at both, but unfortunately, some people look at this but never look at this, or look at this but they don't look at that. So I like to take everything as a whole, break it down, so I know it gets kind of time-consuming to look at these things. And I'll tell you what, if it's time-consuming for you to watch, imagine how time-consuming it is to write this all down and go through it. That's not a complaint. I love doing this. This is what I like to do. But I want there to be the truth out there, no matter what it comes to. I'll never tell you there's no errors or there's no changes. I'm just going to tell you what they are. And I want you to understand as a whole, as a big picture, does it really affect anything? So again, if you read the 1611, especially if you know the words from today, 2025, you can tell what they are. But at the same time, if you pick someone up and put them there, they may look at it briefly for a moment. They'd still get it. But if you grew up then, you knew what it was, you would read it fine. So when I hear the word error, I want to know, is it really an error? It wasn't an error in their time frame. Now, there may be changes. A word change, it can happen. But for the percentage-wise, how much is it? All right, enough of me monologuing over here. Let's just jump right in here. Let's remove that part and put that up. All right, we'll maximize the screen. Whoa, it's right in your face now. I think the mic was a little too far away from me. I'm not sure. All right, Matthew chapter 10. We see, if you don't mind, I'm going to take a sip of water. Oh, that thing just punched me in the face. Thank you for your patience. 42 verses. 910 words. It's one of my larger word counts. There'll be others. 162 spelling issues, so to speak. 15 capitalization issues, if you want to call them issues. 178 changes in total. Now, we'll go through this briefly. You have the same words in 1611 and 2025. You'll see the same ones pop up in all. It's not different words. If you took it as a whole, which we will end up probably doing a summary video. All right, so you get he, same thing. You get unto to unto, same thing. In fact, you got that 5 times. You go through a lot of these words. You still have the sickness. It's sickness. A lot of phonetics here. You see the John, the I. For obvious reasons, you know that. Now, here was a fun one for me. I saw the names are spelt a little differently, but kind of. Some, I think, would say Alphaeus on here, and some might say Alphaeus. It's Alphaeus. I don't know. Two people, if you brought it to two people, they probably pronounce two different ways. So you see the spelling's a little bit different here. You'll notice the A is not put in here on all 3 of them. So we got Jesus one time here. But you go forth, as I'm reading it, you go forth to the rest of this, you'll notice it's a lot of the same words you're going to see pop up. And you're probably going to be sitting there going, Steve, you just did that word. The last video, a lot of these seem to like they're the same. It's repetitive. That might sound boring and uninteresting, but at the same time, it gives you a clue to what scholars are looking at and thinking, oh, big issue. Don't think scholars are looking at what we meant is context and change it. And even then, they mutilate, in my opinion, the King James Bible. And even the New King James, so many problems there too, which we will end up doing. All right, so you get the same sick, have. Let's see. Do we have any big words here? Let's see. Big changes. A lot of these are 3, 2, repetitive in here. Workman, whatsoever, inquire, receive. Again, you see a lot of the same words, a lot of the same things. Judgment, we've talked about the J, even a lowercase j, much like the uppercase J, it was also not in wide use. Was it in use? Yes. But was it in wide use? No. You just do the history of your alphabet and your letter system, like the U and the V. Just do the history and all that, like I've said before, and you'll notice a difference. Maybe I might put a video together with that. I don't know. We'll see what happens. You got the governors here. You got Shelby, which is a compound. I could have counted that as both a spelling error and a compound. I did not, though. I just counted as a spelling. Fear. Again, same things. Nothing really changed. There's some new words: sparrow, whoso, numbered. We haven't seen that. I don't think pop up in previous videos. But again, like I said before, I'm trying to really go through this quickly for you. Not a lot of changes. Not a lot of changes that are affecting doctrine, affecting readability, the ability for you to just pick up the King James Bible and read it. There's not the issues that they want you to have. Again, I always say you have to question anything when one thing is attacked by multiple. It kind of reminds me a little bit of how everyone's going to be attacking Israel. Well, we see a lot of it now, but the whole world's going to attack one. That one little piece of land there is a huge stumbling block for the rest of the world, because Satan knows what that has, what is involved, why it's important. King James Bible, I really feel the same way. All the Bibles in the world, all the scholars, they want to attack that King James, that one Bible. And the funny thing is, and people will say, oh, it's one of the best selling. I think NIV, ESV probably might be surpassed it for all I know. I'd have to check at the sales. But there's a reason. There is such a minority. If you look at things, and even the Baptist churches today have switched to either NKJV or even ESV. They've switched. So there's a minority. King James Bible believing Christians are in the minority. Don't let scholars fool you, because they want that thing gone. They paint them as crazy people, wild-eyed weirdos running around out there. It's too sad. It's too sad. It is sad. It is too sad, but it's too bad that they do that. All right, we looked at capitalizations, apostles, publican. It was an interesting one. That was a new one. I had not seen that happen in my research. That was the first time I saw it pop up. All right, councils, synagogues. A lot of these the same thing. Lord, master, sparrows, prophet. You see it twice because one is a plural, one is a singular. So you'll see. That's why I do. Now we get to the fun part, the scholar part. 910 words. 178 errors or changes. They will look at it as 178, because what they do is they mark down every single change. They go change. You could have the word like he, that was a popular, or ye. Let's go with ye, which is Y-E-E and Y-E. Well, you can mark extra E. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You got 37 ye's in a chapter, and it's got that extra E. And they will tell you 37 errors right there, 37 mistakes, 37 changes. See, they revised. I'm being a little mocking. Maybe I'm condescending. I don't think I am being condescending, but you can let me know in the comments. But I think the elite want to get you so confused and such a chaotic mess and pretend and make you feel as if you have some sort of intellectual superiority of which you do not possess, unfortunately. You can know all these things. It ain't it funny how they keep going after knowledge, but it's not God's knowledge. It's not knowledge imputed into you. It's not the knowledge and wisdom of God. It's man-made knowledge, man-made to try to deter you, to give you a different path. All roads lead to heaven. No, they don't. Yeah, there'll be. I know there are a lot of Bible believers out there in different fields. They'll say, "I believe my ESV. I believe my NIV. I believe my NLT." I remember I once saw a video guy was talking about. I believe all my the translations I have. You believe in all the translations you have? That's weird to me. That's just odd. But they'll say, "Well, if I can have all these translations, then it does. Can I go to different religions and go to heaven?" Well, no. Why? Because it's a mess. They're all weird. Some of them are crazy. Some aren't following the right way. Some aren't reading the same thing. Oh, they're not reading the same thing. Well, neither are you. So you gotta think about that. If you're not reading the same translation as somebody, then that person over in a different religion, if they're not reading the same thing as you, what's the difference? Now, obviously, you know how I feel. I say it is a difference. There's a hard difference. So 910 words, 178 errors, brings you 19.5%. So a scholar will tell you nearly 20% of the chapter of Matthew 10 has changed. And this is where we get the reality part. It's down to 12%. It's 110 because words repeat themselves. 12%. Now you're down to 12%. Next step, if you've seen my videos before, you know how this works. Next step is the letter J. Let's get rid of that whole idea because we know the history of the letter J, why it doesn't appear there. Not an error. We know why. Now you're down to 104, and you got 11.4%. Now it's an 11.4% change. Now you take out capitalizations. This should not be a conversation. It shouldn't be an issue in most cases. I have not seen it yet be incorrectly used. So 9.8%. Now I'm not saying I won't find one, or we won't find one, or we won't put one up. I'm just saying there's not one there. Now you're down to a 9.8% issue. Now let's get into the phonetics. We talked about phonetics before. You go up here. Let's find, there you go, harmless. Harmless. Nobody's going to say harmlessy or harmlessy. No one's going to say that. When you look at it, you just say it. Speak. There you go. I just saw speak. There you go. Same thing. So phonetically, you get that word right, even if you went to time travel, which is not a thing. You actually get that word right. So that brings you down to 3.7%. Now you got a 3.7% issue. All right, now we look at the next step with the V's and the U's. We understand the history of U's and V's and the swapping and why it was swapped and the way it's used, the way it was put into literature, then what was being widespread used and so forth and so on. You're down to 5. That gives you a 0.0054% issue. So, but there is one real change. I wish I highlighted that. I should have highlighted it. One real change, and that is then the then. Now, you're going to see that happen more than once. So then to then. Now, I will say people today will probably do the same thing. Be honest with yourself. If you or somebody else has quickly read then or than and interchange them, like, yeah, rather than do that, then or than. Well, then I went there, then or than. If you're going to get hung up on it, then go ahead and get hung up on that. I really think you shouldn't, but that's fine. That's one real change. So we're going to recap. Readability issue, 0.005.4%, which means out of the 910 words, there was one real change, brings you to 99.89% readable. The 1611 is 99.89% readable. If you understand it. If you understand the U's and the V's, you know that. And you can look at it, obviously, when you look at it, you know. But if you were in that time frame, you would have read it fine. And even today's time frame, you still read it fine. As you well know, I do my sons. I let them come in and look at the words, and they go through the list. And they don't see the side-by-side list. I actually copy and paste that one side, delete the rest of them, and download it to another document file or a little Google Doc thingamajiggy. And then I have them read and go through the words, and I mark off each word that they got right, which they got wrong. They're consistently, the 10-year-old is over 80%. Consistently, the 13-year-old is over 90%. Again, an adult should have no issue getting that. All right, let's hop into chapter 11. Chapter 11, there we go. Chapter 11 has 30 verses, 667 words, 123 spelling errors, changes, whatever you want to say. 11 capitals for a total of 139 changes. And I know right now you're saying to yourself, Stephen, I don't think you know how to count. That equals 134. We're going to get to why it's 139. Don't worry. I promise. Wasn't an error. All right. Pass. Same things, same issues. For Jesus. Commanding. That's fun. When I first learned about that a while back, the U in there. But a U, see? Now, you wouldn't have noticed. If you read that quick, you would not have noticed. If you looked at 12 right away, you would have saw 12. I can give anybody a 1611 Bible right now, and I'm pretty sure they'd be over 95% accurate in their reading. Onto, again, this is what we talked about before. Not only the U's and the V's, but 19 times. Now, again, a scholar or a person going through, and I get it, you when you're documenting any kind of change, which is, I do the same thing. You document every single change. Then you look at it and go, okay, were they real changes? And how many of one was there? And unto repeats itself 19 times. So to me, when you look at reality of it, it's one change 19 times. It's not 19 times something has changed. It's one word 19 times. Again, that's another one. That's an obvious one. Poor, you should be able to get. Shall, and I apologize. Do not know why I did not put the other L there. Look, an error. I made an error. So does that change the word because I forgot to put the L on? Imagine the typeset back then, same deal. You know, sometimes they made an error. They put a word, or they put a letter, or missed a letter, or added a letter. Mostly it's missed a letter, and I just made that mistake right there. Just made an error. Look at that. I guess even in this day and time, 2,000 years later, I was thinking about the beginning of Christ. 400 years later, 415 years, 13, 14, trying to do the math in my head. 414 years. So over 400 years. All right, read, same thing. Wind, wear, clothing. A lot of these are repetitive. Same thing. You look at the same thing, same words. You'll see ears in a lot of different ones. Fellows, you don't see as often. Devil, you see that a lot. Son, S-O-N-N-E, you'll see that multiple times along the way. Judgment again, you know. Here's the highlight. So I highlighted this one here. I decided to finally start highlighting it with an actual color. I'm, learning how to find out the highlighter on these things. I'm a simple guy. I don't have a lot of electronics. I don't have any fancy stuff. So, fro to from. To me, I believe this was an error. This would legitimately be an error. I think the M was left off. That's the error. It was just left off. Now, I don't think I've seen O-M-E. I don't think I've seen an E at the end of from. It's possible, but I read a lot of words, so I don't remember if I saw any. But I believe that to be an error. It's just a simple error. They left out the M. So, fro. I think that's an error. I could be wrong, but I believe it's an error. So, I'm just being honest with you. Just being honest. All right, you go through a lot of these. You have heavy, give, learn, meek. A lot of, again, same thing. Now, again, changes. Look, I'm starting to highlight a couple of things. We have changes here. Then and then. I spoke about that for chapter 10. You'll see that, again, don't you worry, 3 times. Ye to the. That happens occasionally. That also happens. Ye to the. And I actually decided to put this in Weinbibber, not because it was an incorrect spelling, but see how it's one word and here it's broken. So we'll look at a compound word. Not a big deal, but it's a change. And I want to be honest. I'm not going to leave out stuff just so I can make it look, oh, it's just, and try to explain it away. It's a compound, it's a compound word. It changed. Just that simple. But if this causes you to not have any understanding how to read, that's a bigger issue. Now, we go down to our capitalizations, disciples. We see that a lot. Gospel, we see that a lot, that lowercase is it. What to what, prophet. We talked about prophet before. Again, we see prophet, singular and plural. A law is changed. Son gets capitalized. Same things. Nothing's really changed here. It's the same stuff. All right, now we get into the nitty gritty. I love this stuff. This is my favorite part. Let's break it down. Scholars, 667 words, 139 errors, which gives them nearly 21%. And again, it's 20.8%, but they'll tell you nearly 21%. It's all verbiage. You have to understand that when you deal with anybody in politics, in business, scholars, people who are trying to sell something. They're using a way of structuring their grammar or their sentence. So in this case, they would say nearly 21%. It's 20.8%. If you were trying to make the number seem bigger. If you want to make it sound lower, you would say just over 20% or close to 20%. It's almost all the way down to 20%. See, I'm almost all the way down to 20%. It's like, yeah, it's less than 21. A lot of the way they speak, they say it in such a way, contort their fate. It's just about selling. That's what they do. Now you look over at the other side, you get 10.3%. Now you say, well, how would you sell this? And I don't have to sell it because obviously it's less. I'm like, wow, 69 actually errors. It's almost 10%. That's it. And they're like, again, it's expressive. All right, so 10.3%. First step of the letter J. It's a fun part again. We know the history of it. Now you're down 65, so now you're actually down to 9.7. See what happens? You drop 20 to 9.7. Drop from 10.3 here to 9.7. One would say, not a huge change. Well, it's still a change, is it not? It's lowers down. Second step, capitalization. You got 10 of them. They're not concerning. They're not hard to figure out. You didn't have a hard time reading the words. Was not a readability issue or doctrinal issue. So now you're at 55, down to 8.2%. Now this is the big part, which I think people, again, have to understand. Phonetics. The word still is the same word. And you can pronounce the word, and it looks exactly the way it sounds. So that brings you down to 14 left. That's 0.02%. 0.02%. And with the one error, which was that fro to from there, and the three changes, which was the then to then and the ye to the and the compound word Weinbibber, your readability issue drops all the way down to 99.4%. So, sorry, you have a 99.4% ability to read the Bible. But you see what I'm saying? This is what they do. They will do this consistently and constantly, and they won't give up. Even faced with just simple numbers like, but they're still revised. Yeah, but that was revised after 1611 and 1633. So actually a revision. So now which one is it? Am I reading a revision? Am I reading a change? Am I reading a Bible with errors? And so, you go forth with this on and on. On and on. If you're worried about the fro to from, the one, that error, the M that's missing, if that is that concerning to you, I have no idea what to tell you. I don't. I'd be surprised. So, and again, I'll say what I said before. If you have a problem with these numbers, I'm not trying to be negative here or mocking or condescending or talking down, but if you still look at this and say nope, then you're most likely an anti-KJV person. I'm sorry, you can't disagree with this. If you're a 1611 to 2025 person, clearly you're on the same page, and this just gives you more evidence that you didn't need. You were very convinced already that you had the right Bible. You're fine. You were happy. There's no issues. You could read what you read. But this is more a defense to these Skippy Juniors who want to come up with these ideas of that you have this terrible Bible. It's all these errors, all these mistakes, and all these issues in the New Testament. And it's not there. It's not there. I'm sorry. So, I mean, obviously, and I'm okay with the people who may not like this video because they're obviously anti-King James, anti-1611. We know that quite clearly. I don't want to go out of control here, but I would say that they hate the Word of God. That's all there is to it. All right. Somebody's like, whoa, that was too far. You crossed the line, sir. All right, we got that done under, 27 minutes? Fantastic. That's awesome. We got that done pretty quickly. All right, I want to thank you as always for your time. I appreciate it. I'm going to get that off the screen. Oh, hey, there's me again. I really do appreciate your time in this, and I am thankful that you do watch this and learning or going through the 1611. I know it says verses. I think it's fun to put verses in there. Makes people think, wait a second. Is he saying there's huge changes? No, there's not. There's not these gigantic changes. But thank you. I hope this has helped in any way. Leave a comment if you want. If I've missed a word or a letter in either one of these chapters, please put it in the comments. I am more than willing to look at it and see if I made a mistake. Because, again, anyone can. We can all make a small error. It's possible. With that, I'm going to go ahead and, as I always say, my live stream awkwardly end the recording here. Usually it's end the live stream, but thank you for your time as always. God bless and have a wonderful day.